Oh, you're just a delight, aren't you? I am gagged, cuffed, and living for that. Now that is very juicy. Welcome to Jordy's Juice. Ladies, gentlemen, and non-binary icons, and welcome to our podcast, Jordy's Juice. My name is Jordy Delight. I am the real housewife of Leaf, drag's answer to Angel Delight, and on Aldi budget and full-time spinster. As well as all of this, I am an Edinburgh-based drag queen, DJ, actor, singer, activist, and your host for today's episode. In this series of Jordy's Juice, I speak with legends of the UK's drag scene, where we discuss highlights of their careers, where they plan on sashaying to next, and we also be dragging out all things RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. We will review each episode and get juicy on what's been going down, the challenges, the villain edits, the tears, and who our money is on to win, plus all the most sickening looks on the runway. So boil the kettle and get the tea brewing, because it's time to spill the goss and drag your thoughts away from your troubles. My guest for today's episode of Jordy's Juice is Birmingham's very own Yshee Black. Yshee Black is a star on the rising, creating a buzz in the UK's drag community whilst hosting for Pop Buzz, interviewing some of the best drag race stars and dishing her own thoughts on the show. Yshee has been performing in the UK for years and speaks openly about her challenges as a drag queen who is also a person of colour and is an activist for her drag community. Described by Drag Race's very own Monique Hart as amazing, I can safely say she lives up to this expectation and much more. Enjoy. Yshee, thank you so much for joining us on Jordy's Juice. It's an absolute delight to have you. How was your gig last night? Were you doing a gig performing?
Well, I was doing a gig on the Sunday beforehand. So I do my lip sync competition in Birmingham. We just had the semi-finals finished, and that was really good, really intense. A lot of acts, but we got down to a final 12, and the finale is on the 14th of November. It's going to be great. It's going to be great. So we can.
Amazing. Are you still hungover?
So I'm not hungover, but I'm just exhausted because I didn't realise, because now I live in London, I work quite a bit because there's loads of stuff happening in London all the time. Mm-hmm. And I was like, I am not prepared for all of this. So I've done quite a lot of work, which is great, which is amazing, but I think slowly adjusting to London life.
Yeah, I've been feeling that when things have been open. I've had a cold, I've had like sort of a virus throat infection a few weeks ago, and today it's like, obviously we're doing Jordy's Juice, I might be having a tea with you, but I'm having a Lemsip because I had my flu vaccine on Sunday and I'm still feeling horrific from it.
Oh, babes, to take it easy. Yeah. You know what I mean? We've got to look after ourselves.
Totally. I feel that burnout is kind of happening. You know, we've gone from sort of being in house all the time to overdrive work constantly now, and the burnout is catching up.
Yeah,
definitely.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So I'm so excited to have you on. I've been loving what you've been doing with Pop Buzz and all the stuff you've been doing. I think your drag, I read an article you done and you were sort of described yourself as like your auntie, and I was like, that's literally my kind of drag as well. So I feel like we're going to have a good repertoire and get on here, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Like I also love drag. I love what I do, but like being in, having my drag like set up in Brum, we're just a different breed in Birmingham. We just don't care that much. Like everything's fun. We're community based. We have a laugh. You know, sometimes we look terrible, absolutely terrible, but we absolutely have a great laugh with it. Think bag of chips, ginny lemon. Those are the Birmingham queens. And do you know what I mean? Rough around the edges, but heart of gold.
Yeah, that's kind of like the Scottish drag scene as well, to be fair.
Oh, absolutely. I love the Scottish drag. Scottish drag and Birmingham drag are really close together. Like we get along really well. I love all of the queens from Edinburgh and Glasgow and in between. It's just amazing. And they're also talented. Oh my God, the talent is just insane. Insane. They don't get like half the recognition they deserve because they kill it up there. Absolutely.
Thank you. That's so kind. We never hear that, so thank you. So I'm intrigued then. So, chat me through your career. How did you start drag and what made you kind of pursue a drag career?
Oh, wow. Drag found me. I didn't find drag, I tell you that. I grew up sort of acting, performing, directing. Loved it. Drag really wasn't, I didn't really think about it as much. Even to the point where like I had a drag queen on my university course, Annabelle Lecter. She works in Manchester, love her. And she used to do drag, and maybe around like 2014. And I was like, oh, drag's all right. Good for her. Not for me, though. But good for her. Love that she's doing that. Love it.
Yeah.
And I watched Drag Race, but season 4 started, but I still wasn't like there. And then my friend sort of asked me to do an open mic night, hosting an open mic performance night, but in drag. And around the time, 2016, Birmingham had sort of like a resurgence of drag artists come into the scene. Mm-hmm. And then it was just such a strange time because there were 1 minute there weren't any performers, and then the next minute there was about 10 drag acts. And we were like, oh, okay. So I asked one of my drag mothers, well, my drag friends who now became a drag mother, to put me in drag for the open mic night. And that happened once every 2 months. I'd just get in the makeup, I'd host, that was it. I'd perform here and there, nothing serious. I got paid in vodka. Do you know what I mean? That was the payment, vodka. We were having a laugh. It was just fun community stuff. And then after like a year, like 2017, I started to get a bit more serious. Not so serious as like, this is what I want to do, but like, oh, let me go see what's happening in London. And let me go see what's happening there. And I entered Lipstick 1000. And it was a year that like Bimini and Crystal from Drag Race and, Frida Slaves, Margot Marshall, all these iconic acts who we know now started off.
Wow.
And I didn't even realize that I was, we were in the same competition in the room full of absolute icons. But yeah, so then I lost the competition. It was really funny because Graham Norton was judging. You wouldn't believe it. I know Graham Norton judging like a little Lipstick 1000 competition in London. I lost the competition. I came back to Birmingham and they were like, oh, would you like to do your own night lip sync competition called the Church of Yshee? And at the time, I was like, I don't even know how to do my own makeup. I don't know anything about that. But I knew they weren't going to ask me again. So I just went, yeah. I went, yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it. And then I'll figure it all out along the way. And I got my drag mother to paint my face every Sunday because the competition was like for about 6-7 weeks. But because I was getting paid, I paid her as well. Do you know what I mean? Makes sense. You know what I mean? Plus, she'd probably take the money out of my hand anyway. So, so then it just started and it just built and it built and it built. And a lot of the foundation and a lot of like the mixes and the work that I have came from that initial 2017 bulk of work. Because I really was doing this competition. I didn't have anything. I didn't have any mixes. I didn't have any outfits. I didn't have any makeup. But like I was learning as I was going along on the job. And I was making mixes every week. So Sundays I'd perform. So Monday, Tuesday, I'd make a mix, learn it Wednesday, Thursday, maybe do some alterations in the middle, but then perform it on Sunday. And I was doing that every week. No week was the same track for all those weeks. And now, oh no, you couldn't catch me doing that now, not every single week. But I think it's important when I'm starting out for the bulk of my work to really look at different things and bring different entertainment for the crowds. So drag really found me. I was not enthralled about being a drag queen for a while. And plus I was wearing my mom's clothes. I was church clothes. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I was like taking bits of her like, African clothing and this, that, and the other, and running to the gig and putting it on and running back and this, that, and the other. So yeah. So drag was it was never about me being like, yes, I want to feel the fantasy. I was just like, oh, I've got this thing now. I've got to do.
I love it. See,
fun.
that my experience has just been so similar to yours. Like I'd went to a drag show when I was 16 in Turkey with my mum, and I was like, oh, this is a bit odd. And it was sort of Chicago and cabaret sort of tributes. And I was like, oh, that's really fun, but it's not really for me. And then the girls, when I was at high school, wanted me to do Mercutio in drag. And I was like, no, I'm not feeling drag, but I'll just do the actual role. And then it did get to about 19 that I was like, okay, you know, I used to go to this night called the Church of High Kicks in Edinburgh at CC Blooms and was like, oh, this is fun. There's drag. Maybe I could do drag for a laugh, just for a laugh. And then, you know, lo and behold, years later, here I am doing it freelance. And I know what you mean about the alcohol thing. You know, at the beginning, it was just drink tokens, you know, and do a wee lip sync to like Ida Maria or something, which was an absolute vibe. And then it was, I'd went to the Three Sisters, a very interesting venue in Edinburgh. And they were like, oh, I want to do this Christmas show. Do you know any drag queens? And I was like, oh, I'm a drag queen. I could do that. And they're like, okay. And then literally we ended up doing, three of us, this Mariah Carey tribute every Christmas for 4 years in a row that there's only so many times you can hear Mariah Carey, but they were paying you a forkload. So I was like, well, why not?
Well, no. Yeah.
And that was it. And it kind of happened that way. How did your mum feel about you sort of taking her church clothes into drag?
Well, she was fine about. I say fine about it. So every time they try and discuss it, I'd like bat it away because I was so. It's like coming out. Do you know what I mean? When like parents were like, "Oh, I know you're a bit," and they're like, "No, wait, whoa, let's not talk about whoa. Look over there." Very that, and because she said she saw a poster, her and my aunt saw a poster of me in drag in one of her outfits. And my aunt was like, because it's funny because I brought your mum that outfit. And I was like, no, don't know what you did. No, you're not. And it wasn't until I did an interview with the BBC about, you know, just like being Yshee Black and being black and this, that, and the other. And my parents at the time not knowing that I do drag. And obviously, like, that's like a hook line for like any sort of like journalist news. And they went with it. And I thought it was going on BBC Three because I was like, my parents won't know BBC Three. It's young people. It was going on BBC West Midlands, which is like BBC One. And it was the day of Pride in Birmingham. And my mum got a notification from the BBC notification app. And she was like, young drag queen, parents don't know. She clicked on it, was me. So I'm there on the Pride float. And my mom, like, cheering around everyone. Oh, my God, brilliant, happy Pride, be free. And my mom's messaging me, like, we need to talk. I'm like, I'm like screaming on this Pride float, like, trying to be happy, but also internally dying. Because I'm like, oh, my God, I did not come prepared for this today. But then she's fine with it. She's happy with it. She's as long as, like, I'm getting paid, as long as it's good, as long as, like, I'm supporting myself and I'm not, good. Like... Because what happened was it was difficult because I was, it just looked like I was going out with my mates. Do you know what I mean? So like I was living at home at the time and I was like, almost late 20s-ish. And it just looked like I was partying all the time. Do you know what I mean? And like there wasn't any form of like potential growth for me to do anything with it. Like I wasn't doing any of my acting stuff. At the same time, I'm always out. So I was like, so yeah, Mum, it's fine. She's like, that's okay. That's fine. She told me to like sort my wigs out. I went, oh, how dare you? How dare you? But true. So yeah, it was good. But she's fine. She's fine with it. Her dad's fine with it. Like, and they're so supportive. It's great.
That's great. I know that when I wore this like really big red crimped wig, my mum was like, it's a bit ratty, you could do it with a lace front. I was like, years ago. Yeah,
of course.
But I was like so shady. I gotta say, Yshee, like, I'm not gonna lie to you, like I have heard some stories about how parents and family find a bit of drag, but I think yours is the absolute top tier, funniest, most fun, interesting story. I mean, you can't get much more attention than that. Your mum gets pinged on an app.
Yeah, literally pinged on an app, and it had to be me. It couldn't have been anyone else. It couldn't have been, and I didn't even know she had the app. I didn't even know she knew how to use apps. And there it is. ping right in front of said 8 a.m. in the morning, Pride Day.
Absolutely brilliant. That's absolutely brilliant. What was the Birmingham drag scene like before you moved to London then?
So Birmingham drag scene it's really everything. I really love it. I only recently moved to London, so I still don't. I'm always going to be a Brummie anyway. But it's weird with the Birmingham scene. Because like I said before, when we started in 2017, it really became. So obviously there was drag, old school drag beforehand. You know, singers, old camp, absolute brilliant drag. But there wasn't an in between. So they'd just been doing that for years. And then sort of like Drag Race happened, and one of the main clubs got 4 drag queen hosts, but younger ones to sort of become like the hosts and be around and drag. They were called the Housewives of Birmingham. And it was fun, it was camp, but then it showed, then basically them being there allowed others to come out and drag. And then what happened was we all sort of came up together. So about like 20 of us, all from Birmingham, started doing drag at the same time. And which is really strange because that never really happens in different scenes. Like usually it's like slowly people that come in once or twice, but actually we all came up together. And so we all formed like this new sort of new wave scene in Birmingham doing drag. So we all sort of know each other, helped each other, loved each other. We're all pretty much a family. And obviously like all families fight and whatnot. But we all have that same sort of coming up together as one from 2016. And we all like created events and we all went to those events and this, that and the other. Birmingham drag's a bit punky, we're a bit crazy. It's such a small scene because there are only about 4 or 5 actual like clubs and places to go. So we all know each other and we all know what's going on. So yeah, it's nice. It's nice. We don't take ourselves too seriously either. I just think there's sort of like a lack in opportunities for the Birmingham scene. You wouldn't think the second city, but the scene is so like cut off from like the rest of the artistic world in Birmingham. So people are like, being a drag act, you know full well, like you're pretty much a creative artist, creative producer. You're making everything, or you're producing everything, or you're making shows, and this, that, and the other, and you're getting people into the venue, this, that, and the other. And that is like, people, the Arts Council give you money for that. Do you know what I mean? But because the drag queens just only know sort of drag, or drag acts, or drag kings only know drag, they don't see the artistic side that actually that's money that you could make and that could back you up and could back your drag up. Right. So there is this like sort of like this cut, they don't see it, but the arts don't also come down to the scene anyway because they just think it's just clubs and stuff. Actually, they're living, breathing artists on the scene who are working and doing what the people up top want, but like there's just no connection. Yeah. But I love the Birmingham scene. I think it's great. I think we're a family, and we don't take things too seriously. I love London. I'm starting to get my feelers out, and I know people anyway. But I'm just here for a laugh. Do you know what I mean? I'm just here for a good time.
I love that. Yeah, it's funny hearing that actually with the Birmingham scene because it does sound so similar to Edinburgh that there's only like 4, 5 venues in Edinburgh that does drag regularly. And I know what you mean about money situations and sort of the arts taking it serious because I'm currently chatting to Equity in Scotland sort of about how we can get things more accessible for drag artists. So I totally understand what you mean. It's interesting hearing the punk aspect because obviously like Ginny Lemon had quite an exit of Drag Race when she sort of walked out, and I know that from a friend who was in Birmingham that everyone was kind of like, some of them were like yes, and I'm intrigued.
Well, the thing is with Ginny, bear in mind I have to say it during every interview I gave her a first gig, and so I'm sorry for unleashing that on the world, giving that opportunities to breathe. No, Ginny. The thing is with Ginny, she always sort of knows what she wants to do and what she's doing. So people think that she is very comical, wild, kooky, but actually she thinks things through quite a lot. And so I know her walking off Drag Race. She pretty much had an idea that she was probably going to do it. You know, she probably woke up one morning and was like, actually, you know what? I'm just gutted that she did it so early because we didn't get to see her Yshee Black Snatch game.
Yeah.
She does an amazing Yshee Black, absolutely hysterical Yshee Black. Obviously made way for Bimini's Katie Price, but I really think Ginny would have equally, if not topped, that performance. But yeah, Ginny, she knows what she's doing. She does act very kooky, but she got her head screwed on. And you know, in Drag Race, I remember Drag Race season 1 came out. Me, Ginny, and our drag sister Blanche were in the village inn where we do all our shows. Ginny killing me. She went, I'm not going to audition for season 2 because they need to book me. I know for a fact that they go hunting for the queen. And me and Blanche were like, no, that's really not how it works. So you have to audition. No, I'm not auditioning. I'm like, Ginny Lemon. Oh, Ginny Lemon. And then she does go and audition. And of course, the kooky one gets on. Do you know what I mean? But it's great. She's great. She's a great performer. She works best in live, in a room with people. That's where she thrives the most. And she's just great. She's a great talent. Absolutely mad. Couldn't change her for the world. Definition of Birmingham drag. Her, Bag and Me, Kitty Scott Claus, even with the funny ones. Do you know what I mean? The funny loud ones.
Totally. It's funny because I did see a photo and a little clip of Ginny doing Yshee Black, and I obviously, when she was announced on the show, I was like, oh, she's good at her Snatch game. I can see it. I'm so gunning for this. And then she left, and I was like, oh, it was one of the things I was hyping for.
Yeah, I think the producers knew that as well. I think they knew that as well. They were going to do it, as my own opinion. I thought they were going to get her onto Snatch game, then she was going to win, and then the next week she'd have a bad week, and then she'd be off. That's what I thought was going to happen. But, you know, what am I? Who am I? Just a lonely little drag. I don't know anything.
So, if obviously, like, in terms of performance, you know, are you a singer? Are you a lip syncer? What kind of performances do you do?
Oh, I'm a lip sync artist. Somebody asked me recently if I sing, how my vocals, and I went untrained and unwell. Because no one's hear this. I would like to learn how to sing one day, just to hit a note. Do you know what I mean? Just to know how to find one, then hit it. That would be great for me. I don't want to be Jennifer Hudson. I just want to know how to. But yeah, lip sync artist. I love to perform, sort of a mixture of loads of different hits. I didn't realise that most of my work is covered by Black artists. And I never really made the choice. I think I just go for my music taste. And then I love to intertwine that with, do you remember Vine? And
yeah, too.
I just love Vine and like human, funny stuff. Like TikToks here and there, I just like to infuse stuff with like grounded humans being just ridiculously funny and saying stupid things. Like I absolutely love it. I think it's the best. So I like to intertwine it. And plus it gives it like a modern age, a modern kick, especially if I'm doing something that's like something from the 80s or something like that. Do you know what I mean?
Totally.
But yeah, I love to infuse stuff like that. And then obviously I've got my church lady stuff. So, you know, I'll always have to take you to Black church, whenever you're around. Yeah. I love musical theatre.
Same.
Always love musical theatre. So any form of musical, I am down to perform anything. Yeah.
Amazing. So can you talk me through, obviously I read an article from 2019 you did that I thought was absolutely incredible. So, you know, and Vanity Milan had talked about her own experiences a few weeks ago. What are some of the challenges you faced then as sort of a drag queen that's from the BAME community that is Black?
Well, so Birmingham, again, being very small as it is, in terms of the queer scene, and there aren't that many Black queer performers, especially not when I started. And because we all came up together, I was probably the only one. Now, currently, we have Black Pepper. Shout out to Black Pepper, you're amazing. And, you know, probably another 2 or 3. But like when I started, it was just it was difficult because not only did I not know about makeup, I was trying to learn makeup. I was also trying to learn shades, and I was also trying to learn, you know, what looks good on this my colour skin and what was here, there, and this and the other, what works. And obviously I had help, I had support from my sisters and brothers in the community. They were always down there. Actually, I had so much help, but because I was so young in my like drag knowledge, it was just going over my head. And because I was in denial about like actually wanting to be a drag queen, all the help that I was getting just sort of like, you know, washed over. But like it was there. But I did find it difficult. But that didn't stop me. Good. It didn't stop me from doing it. And it didn't stop me from wanting to pursue it in a way. I think it's such a strange thing. Coming from Birmingham, and there isn't a lack of Yshee Black, you know, even different ethnicities. It's mainly white. I moved to London, or I moved to London, and they're like fighting for, you know, representation and lineups of representation and this, and I'm like, yes, we should do that. I'm just thinking London is so diverse anyway. It's probably a bit not easier, but I just feel like coming from a background where, you know, I'm the only one. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't know how I would be able to create an event that works so well in the conditions. Like if I took sort of like when the pandemic was happening and everyone was going online, oh God, online drag. Oh God. Oh, the pain. Just on the flash of the pain of online drag. Oh, everyone was moaning about the white lineups. Everyone was like up in arms. But I didn't see anyone do anything. I was annoyed. So I decided to put on my own show called Blessed and Highly Flavored. And it was just like a POC showcase of Asian and Black and just different forms of us. And it wasn't just drag artists, it was singers, poets, dancers. I wanted to just have like a plethora of, you know, different art forms. And I popped that online and it did really well. It was good. It was nice. And it was just like a reaction just to something that I'd seen online, because I was like, if you ain't going to put it out yourself, do you know what I mean? What we're going to do, we're just all going to be moaning in the same space, but no one's actually going to do anything about it.
Yep.
And it's all good to moan to get people fired up, but actually, come on now, let's go.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think me as being one of the prominent ones in Birmingham says a lot. And like I'm really lucky when it comes to being Black and being a drag artist in a city that doesn't have that much representation, because I also divulge into the art side of things as well. So I do a lot of artist work, and and in those spaces as well as my queer spaces. And I think that's what's really helped propel me to various other things, because I love to do like theatre stuff and host and make artist work and stuff like that. So I think doing those things have helped me and help shine a light on, you know, other people's queer spaces. I think Birmingham's got a lot to do still, but I'm in talks with them as well, the queer scene, and I'm in talks with even the artist scene and trying to like get, you know, the Birmingham Hippodrome, who's so prominent. If you've been to Birmingham, it's at the top of the queer scene, and it's the big theatres Hippodrome. And I'm like, you guys need to do some more. Because, you know what I mean? Because if you guys aren't doing anything and noticing you've got artists at the bottom of your street, you know what I mean? What you're here for? Yeah. You know what I mean? If you ain't supporting local talent, what you're here for?
Oh, I'm so glad you said that, because support local talent is so important, especially, obviously, Drag Race is great, but I always have that conversation with people that go, oh, I love drag. And I'm like, what drag show do you go see? And they're like, oh, I watch Drag Race on Netflix. And I'm like, right. Right. And I'm just going to say, like, well done you for doing that digital drag show. That's incredible, because the pandemic was so brutal. I was doing a digital drag show called The House of Liability, which was like my drag house. We mainly comprised of non-binary and assigned female at birth performers. And that was really important for us. And now we thankfully have got a live venue from that, which has been so great. So it has been great. Were you part of the lineup for the HIV Scotland drag show they did ages ago?
Oh, I'm not
May
sure.
2020. I think you sent a video, no?
Maybe. If I did, my memory's shocking. Like, absolutely shocking.
Just because I did it, that's why. And I was like, I'm pretty sure, I think I saw you perform, for that.
If you,
So,
if you saw me sweat on a video and do the most with the least, then yes, that was me. Yes.
well, you killed it. You did absolutely brilliant. So you've been recently doing stuff with Pop Buzz as a host. Isn't that amazing? Like, can you chat more about that?
Oh, absolutely. Right. So I was going through a phase where I wanted to do more with my drag. And I ain't scared to email. I ain't scared to Instagram message or DM venues, that I was on the computer emailing everyone. And Woody, who co-hosts some of the Pop Buzz interviews and pretty much like is my boss, quote unquote, but also friend. Well, I've known Woody through other friends of mine, non-drag friends of mine, and we were at a festival. I think we were at a Sigma Pig Festival or something like that. And I was like, Woody, I want to get into sort of like TV stuff. I want to do stuff. This was all before the pandemic hit. And Woody was like, yeah, sure, that's fine. If anything comes up, I'll let you know. Brilliant. A year later, nothing happened. And then we all went to the pandemic. And then 2020 came along. And Woody was like, we've got an idea about, because we can interview the Drag Race Canada girls. And Woody was like, we probably want a drag host, but also split it with Woody himself. So I'd do one episode, Woody do one episode. And I was just like, yeah, go on then, let's go. And since then, I think it's just really boosted like popularity and getting my name out there. Because realistically, I only started doing it last year. And so, and we've had, RuPaul doesn't rest or don't sleep. We've had Drag Race Canada, the Drag Race UK season 2, season 3 at the moment, and then also Drag Race Down Under. So I've done all of those in the space of pretty much a year.
Wow!
And it's just been mad. It's been great. It's been fun. I've enjoyed it, and I've learned a lot throughout the process, and I've learned a lot how to sort of, it's a big team effort, and that's what I think I love about it, because I don't feel like I'm just coming in and then out. Like, we discuss things beforehand, we have meetings, we prep, we go through the scripts, we all have a laugh, we all know each other. And so it's lovely to be part of that little team of Pop Buzz, and to be recognised for like the work that I do, and the fact that they paid me during the pandemic. I was like, thank you so much. Which is great. And the reception has been amazing. The reception has been great. And I really want to create content that's fun, that everyone can have a laugh with. And just like, that's why, Bob's reviews are so funny, because everyone just enjoys like the characters and having a laugh, and really takes the seriousness out of like some of the episodes, you know what I mean? Because some of the episodes can be like really serious. But actually, when you review it, we're like, oh yeah. Yeah. And plus, because the UK is so small, I just feel like I'm doing it with my friends. Yeah. Like when I interviewed Ginny, I just went, listen, I know full well what's going to happen here. We're barely going to get anything done. Do you know what I mean? We're just going to sit here and have a laugh. Same with Tea and Coffee. Like, we're just going to have a laugh. So yeah, I think it's good. It was a really good gig to get. But I really stand by me going, right, I want to look for things to do. I want to get out there and pull myself out there, because if I'm not like putting myself first and making sure people know who I am, then I'm not going to get anywhere.
That's it.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you've said that, because there's such a big conversation in the Scottish drag scene that a lot of the time us drag artists do talk about the fact that not everyone gets everything handed to them. You've got to go out there and get work. Yeah. So I totally understand where you're coming from. I watched a few of your interviews on Pop Buzz. I watched Victoria Scone one and I watched Electra Fence one, both wild, chaotic energy that I'm here for and love. So now interviewing you, I'm like, I'm getting experience it firsthand.
Yeah, absolute chaos, mayhem, shenanigans, and the tomfoolery. Yes. Yeah.
But you're a great host, and I would just say, like, before we're nicely tying into actually Drag Race now, which is good because we're going to review last week's episode for a bit. But I was just going to ask, I saw on your Twitter, your pinned tweet, that Monique Hart described you as amazing. What was the context of that? You must have been so cheesing.
Honestly, so Monique Hart messaged me out of the blue, bear in mind mid-pandemic. It's just been like, I want you to be on my digital drag lineup. And I was like, hyperventilating. Yeah. And Yeah, so I did that. I did sort of like a church sort of number, which was great. It was really fun, really high energetic. I just wanted to like do more and prove myself. And then I managed to finally meet Monique on the Noir tour, where I was on tour with Monique, BB, Lala Ree, Akira, who is a drag queen through and through. Akira playing games. My lovely sister Astina Mandela and Widow Von Du. And we went up and down the country and we toured, and it was just great to have them around, and it was so lovely. And then plus, like, Monique put a good word in with me for GAY in London. Wow. And then they booked me off the back of that. And I was like, what is happening with live right now? But it was so great to have that, and to meet and support and to be around Black drag artists. I never really had that in Birmingham, and I always it's not something I've always wanted, but I just think it's just a different experience, and it's just sort of, you know, especially ones who are a bit older than me and sort of have had like sort of different experience. I think it was great. It was a great opportunity for me to have, and you know, there was a benefit for it. But yeah, Monique Hart, she's lovely. She's great. Now BB is the one who is the regal queen out of drag. She's more regal out of drag than she is in drag. I'll tell you this now. It is always on, and I live for BB.
I mean, I can picture that. I don't know how, but I can. yeah,
out of drag is very always put together. And she is always put together in drag, but I think she's just on. But when she's out of drag, she plays a lot more. Yeah, it's funny.
Yeah. It's funny. Absolutely brilliant. So what were your thoughts and feelings then on last week's episode of Drag Race UK?
It's insane. Poor Vicky Scone. Poor Vicky Scone. I was like, oh, we're going to have a eureka moment. But Vicky's, you know, beloved. Not to say eureka isn't loved, but, you know, half and half. It was a good episode. I think Veronica showed a lot more fight in the lip sync than I thought she ever would do. Especially when, you know, Vanity Milan is standing right next to you and she can serve a whole lot. And she'd already sent one girl home packing while the other girl was doing Electra was doing the splits and the I don't know what she was doing.
Yeah.
Break dancing, that was it.
Yeah.
But I think the episode as a whole, like, camping materials, very hard. I wouldn't have had a clue. I'd have been home that episode. So they pulled out a good few looks. Yeah, I was pretty surprised.
I mean, I will say I was doing a sewing lesson yesterday, right? And I was making a zip. That was it. I was literally putting a zip on a bit of material, trying it out, right? And I was like, oh my gosh, watching the episode last night afterwards, I was like, love and respect to anyone that managed to make anything. I know Veronica, they were a bit like this, and I thought, that's still better than I could do at this point.
Literally. Like, I wouldn't even have where to begin. I'm just like, what is happening? Yeah, working materials and sewing and all that. They make it look easy on TV. And that's the thing on Drag Race. They go, oh God, yeah. When people sew these amazing garments and they just make it look easy from like the 10 minutes that we see in the workroom. But actually it takes so much time and effort before that, pre-planning, making sure you know which materials work. Like, there's a lot of talk of, you know, Ella Day being like, I only work with stretchy material. That's good, because you want to prepare and you want to make outfits and work. But like non-stretch, you don't essentially go there first because they're harder to do and take more time. And I could imagine, like, preparing for a show like Drag Race, you have a limited amount of time, so you're going to want to get to know the stretch real quick.
Yeah.
And if you get a chance to grab some stretch, you're going to do it real quick.
I felt for Veronica Green, because obviously, you know, she was trying to sort of help people and be very kind of caring. I've got a soft spot for her. And when obviously it kind of blew up in her face a little bit, you know, she mentioned obviously her time management's an issue, which, funnily enough, right, for me, I had to get in drag for a self-tape yesterday. And it was actually really easy because I didn't have a time limit. So I was like, oh, I can do this. I got ready. But anytime I've got like 2 hours, I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to get this done in time, and start panicking. So I really understood with the festival look, I did kind of write a bit of a sort of joke that I'd thought I went to Cream Classical a few weeks ago in Liverpool, and she looked like me come back on the Monday. I was like, oh, what is this weekend been? And I did feel for her. And in terms of Crystal Versace's look, like I couldn't fault both of her looks, especially the sort of spikes coming up. I thought that was incredible. Grace Jones type art, yeah.
Yeah, I thought it was incredible as well. I thought it was great. I thought it was great. I know that she had help with it, but it's one of those things. Well, yeah, I wonder if the judges know if they had help. I remember I throw back to Taste. Taste is sort of black with the pin look, and Ahura had to help with that. Do you know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think Taste won that episode, but it was sort of I don't know if it brought up as much. I would have to go rewatch the episode, but I don't know. It's weird, the queens that get help, but then sort of go for. I'd help the queen. I would help the queen. If I knew what I was doing, I'd help the queen. But because I don't, can't help no one.
No, I totally get you. I would help them if I could help them with a glue gun, maybe at best. But I totally get you. In terms of Victoria Scone leaving, I read an article by Gay Times, and they were sort of going on this context of, well, she wasn't asked back, and I just wondered, it was like, Eureka, you have an open invitation, whereas this was very much we'll see her again soon. I'm sure I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very that, and I'm quite surprised that they didn't say that, oh, you'll be back for season 4, because let's be honest, Vicky Scone is an icon. That vibe. Oh my God, I'm great. And they need her back. Do you know what I mean? It's not just a case of, oh, we'll see her in the future. They need her back on the show. Yeah. I'm absolutely devastated that we didn't get to see more of her looks, because I definitely believe she would have been a top 4, 3, 2, 1, absolutely. Like the picnic look that she posted on Instagram recently with, the Scotch eggs and the French fancies and all of that. I was living. And it was such a breath of fresh air from everyone just doing camping. Do you know what I mean? And so I was like, wow, look what we've missed out on. But I think now, if she comes back on season 4, the girls who ever get on, y'all better strap yourselves in real tight. Do you know what I mean? Because the Scone's coming back with a vengeance.
It was really interesting. I was really subtle moment for me, but Raven obviously giving the tips on nose contour, and I was like, write this down. After 6 years, still can't do it.
Same, literally same. I'm like, oh, okay, this would be really good. This would be really nice. Very that. I'd definitely take any tips from Raven, especially, and I like to try and soak up as much information as I can with the cameras on, or even without the cameras on.
I want to take us back, but the mini challenge for Finder, which was sort of this grinder like joke, was hilarious. I couldn't help but, maybe this is just me, right? But I grew up watching Mrs. Merton, and I closed my eyes and thought Veronica Green just sounded like Mrs. Merton.
Wow. It was a challenge. It was fun. I really enjoyed watching them all portray a character. Some better than others, obviously. I really enjoyed Anna Days. I really enjoyed Scarlet's. Just watch them all look there, just like blokes, right, yeah. Very, do you remember season 2 Beastenders? Lawrence's Phil Mitchell, very that. Right, yeah, looking for something decent to wear. It's like that. I just love it.
I mean, I wrote down on my phone, I feel triggered. It's a room full of my ex-boyfriends, so...
Oh, wow, you have a type.
Not anymore, thankfully. The main thing that I really took away from this episode I thought was incredible was Charity Case talking about HIV and the stigma around it. I felt, obviously, It's a Sin was during the pandemic and came out, and I know that some of my friends who are positive had sort of said they felt that It's a Sin maybe could have done a bit more at the end to sort of say things are different now, you equals you. So I was glad she went on, she talked about the raw sort of stigma, because I know, not from experience obviously, but in my friends' experiences, the dating apps, people are horrible on Grindr and will say things like, you're diseased, and it's like, no, and go her, like, talking about it on the show, it was so powerful.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Charity Case is so switched on with not only her drag, but herself, and how her life experiences have influenced her drag and her life and what she perceives in the world. And she takes all of the negative stuff and she understands it all, and she goes, this is where I've come from and this is why I'm who I am. I had an interview with her on we did a Pop Buzz interview because we were doing bits for Pride, and I was like, Charity's a great person. And when I was talking to Charity, even though I know Charity anyway, she did one of her first performances with me. Oh God, so many firsts. And she was just so switched on about her drag and about her HIV and about the hard times that she's had, but also transforming that into positivity and going, okay, like, this is where I've been, but now I'm going to use this to jump off into something greater. Charity is so switched on in that sense. It's great. I really recommend, if anyone wants to know more about Charity Case, looking at that interview, just because I was so informed and I was so like, this is somebody who knows about not only their drag, but their life and who they are. And it wasn't even me just rambling on, chatting crap. It was really, really powerful and informative. And I'm so glad Charity got to show that on the show. I'm so glad that it has come through, because they're great. They're great. And knowing them, they're such a sweet soul. So yeah.
Totally. The last thing I just want to mention from the runway looks that I had was that Kitty doing the Barbara Windsor look was like so camp, but I loved it.
Camp. And that's what I expect from Kitty. Camp. She's great. I just think I'm proud of her for, you know, making it on and actually going right. And especially during a pandemic, I don't think people know the scope of like having to get your drag during a pandemic. Having when, like, you know, things are closed. I was talking to Kitty about, I was like, the season 2 girls had to stop midway, but they already had their stuff.
Yep.
And the season 3 girls had to source all this material and source all this stuff when we're going through a lockdown. And that in itself is just so difficult. So I really give it kudos for the imagination that the girls have got, and the actual execution of it as well is really something different. Because I couldn't even do that when all the shops are open, let alone when there's only barely nothing open. You know what I mean?
I mean, I have to agree with you. And Veronica Green did kind of talk about this on her Instagram that she done the other day about how she maybe should have declined the invitation. She financially couldn't do it. And this is a conversation I know that we in the drag scene know, that a lot of these girls and performers and artists go on and they do have to like spend a lot of money either making things or getting people to make things for them. It's a lot, an extensive process. So I kind of felt that was really authentic for her to be like, I maybe should have declined and actually said I'd re-audition. Do you know what I mean? Like it would have made more sense.
No, absolutely. Drag is expensive. Drag is so expensive. It's crazy. It's crazy to try and, you know, keep your head above water while also, you know, paying for drag and then having to get to the gigs and this, that, and the other, and pay for these wigs and pay for the outfits and the heels and the tights and the undergarments and the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? We really are. Hence why it goes back to having the arts support, you know, cabaret work, because we really are doing everything, creating our own stuff, and we really need support. And there's money there for artists, but you're never taught that being a cabaret artist is anything beneficial or is on the same level as an actor or musical theatre or a dancer. There's nothing of that. Oh, you could be a cabaret artist when you grow up. Do you know what I mean? You don't see it, you don't hear it. So we're left to struggle in these times and find stuff out for ourselves, as well as trying to find our queerness and all of that as well. It's a lot. It's a lot. Yeah.
It is a lot. You're so right. The last 2 points I had were Scarlet won, and I just wondered what your thoughts were on that.
Well, I wasn't. I just don't think they wanted to give Crystal another win, to be totally honest with you. I just thought they didn't want to give Crystal another win. So the second best probably would have been Scarlet. But it wasn't a look really stood out in my mind. Do you know what I mean? Like, she looked beautiful, and Scarlet will always look beautiful. But I don't think she should have won. But, you know, that's my opinion. I'm not RuPaul. I may be black, but I'm not RuPaul. So, you know, who knows? Who knows?
I mean, I felt, I'll be shady and say it, and it's no shade to her because she's incredible, but I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah, it was very that. It was very that moment. You go, oh, what? Can I rewind this a bit?
Yeah. And then the bottom two, obviously, were Veronica Green and Vanity Milan. We kind of mentioned earlier. I felt for Veronica because she put up a fight, but, you know, Vanity Milan did win, and she did end up going home. It was a strain. I remember watching the episode and thinking, Ru, even though I love Theresa May, love Theresa May, I thought Ru's sort of, your story was really funny, so we're going to keep you at the bottom. And I was like, that's a bit, that's very like RuPaul's personality race. Do you know what I mean? Like, come on now. Like, you know, if you didn't like the garment and you gave it bad critiques, then it should have been judged fairly. Do you know what I mean? And not just because Theresa can come up with an elaborate story and Vanity can't. So that means Vanity has to be in the bottom. I'm like, come on now. You know, you're showing the reality TV side of it a bit too much now. Usually keep it quite hush-hush when you're making new decisions. So I think RuPaul's old age is getting to her a bit. But but yeah, I was a bit like wonky on that situation. But, you know, Vanity's a great performer, so I'm just going to turn it out. But I'm proud of Veronica for not keeping it, like, just lying down dead. Do you know what I mean? She really decided to go for it. And I went, okay, here we go. She was ripping that outfit off and redeeming herself.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I was like, okay, you really hate this outfit. But you know what? You're selling it.
Yeah. And the song, like, I'll be honest, like, I had to Shazam that. I was like, what is it? Because I must be so bad as a DJ, but I was like, I don't know that song at all.
Do you not know this song?
No.
Bloody hell. How old are you?
26.
26. Bloody kids. Oh, yeah. Nah. It's a popular-ish song. I've heard of it. I don't know if I'd use it in a lip sync. But then again, I don't know. I don't pick the tracks. We all want decent tracks that we all know. We just want something that just shouts homosexual. So you know what I mean? That's all we want from Drag Race. But yeah, it was Vanity pulled it off, and she lives to slay another week. And I think she's slowly becoming like the lip sync assassin of the season. So I'm scared to see who goes up against her next. That's not to say who she's in the bottom again, because I'm sure after 2 times in the bottom, you're really going to step things up. And I'd be like, the fire under my ass would be real if I, coming off that stage with another lip sync, I'd be like, right, time to change this up.
Totally. Oh, before we finish, Yshee, it's been honestly amazing interviewing you and hearing about your work and reviewing Drag Race. It's been absolutely amazing. What have you got planned next? You got any like shows coming up?
Oh, me, I'm here, there, and everywhere. So I'm in London. I've actually got a little bit of break, but I've got in London. I'm doing The Crown, it's a lip sync competition every Wednesday at Freedom Bar. I've still got my church event on Sundays. The church finale is on the 14th. And give you a little exclusive of one of the judges for finale. You may know them. They're a comedian, Joe Lycett, has offered to come and host. And I'm in talks of getting various the drag race and drag kings on there. So we'll see. It's going to be a very good night. And the event's free as well. So just look at my page. But yeah, follow me on Instagram, Yshee Black, just YSHEE, black, like my skin colour. And follow me there. And I'm doing the most for the least.
Brilliant. Yshee, thank you for getting juicy with Jordy. It's been a delight having you.
Thank you. I love juice. Do you know what I mean? I can't get enough of it. Can't get enough. Good have some now.
Thanks again to drag icon, pop buzz host and activist Yshee Black for a fabulous episode of Jordy's Juice. And a big thanks to all you, my darlings, for listening to episode 3 of Jordy's Juice, the definitive podcast on RuPaul's Drag Race UK Season 3. There's loads more juice where that came from. You'll soon be able to find future episodes on Acast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. Thanks to Matt Ramsey for editing this episode, and as ever, to my lovely producer, Rowan Green. This podcast was a Solus Sounds production. See you soon.